Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Fellas. As always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date on all things The Fellas. And also, you can follow us on your podcast platform of choice. Anyway, this week, gentlemen, the Singapore Grand Prix qualifying. We'll start there. Simon, your thoughts?
Oh man, Russell. I'm going to mention Mercedes. They had a great weekend. Russell for sure, and Antonelli had a great weekend. The qualifying was interesting. Q1, Lewis had a really great qualifying, came in first, and then he never really improved on that time. Everybody else improved on their time except for Ferrari and Charles also. But Q2. Q1, Russell was there. Q2, Russell was there. And then Q3, Russell took it on the first try. So it was a good qualifying for Russell for sure. A good weekend for Russell. And looking forward to see what they do in the next 6 races. I think there's only 6 left.
Yeah. Ray?
Yeah, well, everything was done in qualifying. And as I'll say again, when you go to Q1, Lewis he knew he had a time that he would be able to walk to 2 with. So why bother going back out with the car again, right? And so it gets more critical as you come into Q2, and then F for sure on Q3, right? So yeah, but anyway, Mercedes and George, man, where did they come from? All of a sudden the car was like wonky, and on a track that had no runoff, right? And at a track that was humid as heck. Right, because the FIA okayed them to do cool suits this time in the car. They issued like a heat emergency and said, drivers can put cool suits on. And my man George, bro, where did he come from? He stamped off Max like, yo, bro, check this out. Boom. Come beat this. And exactly. So that was a big surprise, bro. I was taken aback when I saw that. But yeah.
Yeah, George earned that pole. He earned that pole fair and square. Not even entertaining any conversations about the Red Bull was this, or even so the McLarens. We know the McLaren cars were good, but Oscar and Lando couldn't put it together, and George came out of nowhere. Now, I don't know. I'll just throw this out. Is that performance coming on the back of the fact that he still doesn't have a signed contract? I don't know. Could be a great motivator, right? To get the best out of you. Nothing against George though, because George has been putting in good performances in that Mercedes anyway. But I just throw that out there.
No, well, he's just letting Toto know that the price just went up.
True. Okay,
that's it. So he wants that yacht. Whatever he wants it. So he's got to ink that deal. So right now it's back there to, for Toto to realize that, this keeps up, he's going to have to put out a big bill to satisfy George. So
and rightly so, rightly so. I know it's business and all or whatever, but something, if he has the upper hand and he surely does right now, make him pay for it. You're making me wait. You're making me hold out here. You're trying to court, the golden boy. That's cool. You could do that, but you're going to pay for me if you don't get him. But having said that, from the qualify, George put in a great qualifying lap. We're going to the start of the race, right? Because we've seen where it all goes south sometimes when the start comes around. But George pulled it off. Like, I'll throw it out. I'm throwing it out to you, Ray. You take us in with the start.
Well, yeah. I was somewhat concerned. Right, because the first turn, Max, he's like the Mr. Dive Bomb. He comes on the inside and takes it, right? And I was concerned. However, I noticed that George got a good getaway, right? And I was like, okay, George got a good getaway because what shocked me was that Max started on the softs,
yes,
right? And it was just like, whoa, and he was on the dirty side of the track. So according to what they put out was their strategy was that was to compensate for the fact that the track he was on the dirty side. But anyway, George pulled out pretty good, got into the lead, and then Max fell in, but the melee was with the McLaren boys and Max, right? Because must have dive bomb. Norris came in and I guess Max didn't move out the way enough or whatever, but he hip checked his boy. Right. And then rolled on from there, and it kind of left a sour taste in Oscar's mouth that, yo, my man hip checked me out the way.
Right.
So,
Simon?
Yeah. It's a great start, especially for George. He got off to a good start. No one could really catch him after that. It was his race to run. But yeah, it was interesting to see Max, Lando, and Piastri. I mean, Lando he passed Antonelli, right? So did Leclerc, but all of them passed Antonelli, and then he was side by side with Piastri and pretty much ran into Max that forced him to run into Piastri and hip check him, like you said. So that's when he damaged his front wing. But he raced the whole entire race with a damaged front wing. And you could tell Piastri's salty, right? Piastri is like, yeah, you're not being a great team player at this point, but that's okay. You live and learn. Piastri's going to learn from this. And I'm dying to see what's going to happen in the next race. I don't think he's going to be as cordial to his partner and teammate going forward.
Well, I agree. I looked at it as, I'm going to skip George for a second because you guys, I agree with what you said. Lando muscled his way past Oscar. I mean, threw it in there and muscled his way past, and was so focused on that he tapped Max in the back as well while trying to get past Oscar. And yes, what this means now, especially now, I mean, we're going to talk about it later, but especially that the championship has been, the constructors has been tied up. All gloves are off now, right? Because Oscar has to realize now all that pit wall and give back and all of this, and we messed up the pit stop, so let's give him back the. He's not going to want to hear. He's not going to want to hear none of that, right? He's not going to want to hear none of that. So now the team is out of it because they've been satisfied. Now it's up to these two guys, and I suspect it's going to get nasty. And here's the thing: it has to, because they've been doing this thing like a preschool. Well, oh no, you can't say that. What is it? What's the term? Zero tolerance. It's been no, that's not really how it works, and that definitely isn't how Formula One works. So I want to see what the fireworks are going to be like down the road, because Oscar, rightfully so, he should be salty. Now, saying that, if they were in opposite teams, we would have just said, hey, that's a ballsy move by Lando to get past them. You know what I'm saying? But he could have taken them both out there. Anyway.
Yeah, I believe now he's 18 points behind Lando. He's going to do everything he needs to do, and he proved it in this race that he's going to make some questionable teammate maneuvers, because if there weren't teammates, they won't be questionable, right? And he's going to go all out, and Piastri needs to realize he needs to go all out, and the gloves are off.
Right. And I'll just say this on the end too. Piastri needs to know that, but you know what? I give it to Lando too. He flexed. He flexed. He's trying to win. He's trying to win the title, and that's how it's got to be. So this, kumbaya, whatever. We're all, that's out the door now. It has to be. But anyway, Ray, you were going to say something or no?
Well, I was just going to say that Piastri gave him more room that he would have given a person of the other team, right? And I can see, who's to say that Max didn't back him up a little bit so that Lando was able to come into play, right? Before he shut off, and then because if he got those two squirming together, then he can take off and don't have to worry about who's really behind him in his mirrors, right?
Right.
So I can understand Oscar's sourness, right? Because the reality is that even if you squeezed him, there was a possibility that he would have been a DNF on the race also. So he still had to make the room to look to the longer side of the play to see if how that's going to shake out. So I'm okay that Oscar, I think, needs to just reevaluate and say, you know what, at least I'm living to survive to fight, right?
Yes.
As opposed to that one corner, because he did. Norris did do a crazy move, right? He did a Max Verstappen dive bomb.
Right.
All right. So because Oscar was right behind Max, and ready to roll, and then he
Right.
comes in, Chuck's in the picture and chucks him off into the fence almost.
Right.
So I can understand the sour grapes on that, but I saw that more as a racing incident than for the team to correct.
I agree. I'm just saying it's gloves off now with them. Oscar sees it.
Well,
Oscar didn't take it well, and that's okay. That's his right. But now it needs to be gloves off.
But that's not what Zach said.
Yeah, well, I can't say that.
They've wrapped up the constructors now. So
right. So
now let's go after.
Yeah.
Go ahead and win the championship.
Right. Now they're fighting. Right. I'm sorry, Simon.
No, go ahead.
They're fighting for their championship now,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the 2 in the lead.
Okay.
So it has to be gloves off. Has to.
Yeah.
Be. Has to. Be.
It's an independent racing team at this point.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's
Go
not what I got. No, well, that's not. I think I heard a comment from Zach, and he was still doing the papaya rules thing. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So we'll have to see what's up with that because, it's I don't know. We'll see how it's going to.
Listen. If they're doing the papaya rules and they're trying that, then the question is going to be: is it that they want Lando to win it?
What did I say?
Yeah.
What did you say? Right?
No. You
okay.
mean did I stutter? No.
Yeah. What did I say?
Right.
I said, right? It's his boy.
Yeah.
But Oscar needs to hang in there because this is for Oscar to take.
Right. I'm just going to comment real quick on what Ray said a couple of weeks ago. I'm always of the mindset that things play out the way it should play out with a little push here, push there, a little motivation here and there. But this whole thing with George Russell and not getting a contract, and some people think it's because they're holding out for Max. It lets me know that it's not just a business; it's cutthroat. I don't think many people on this planet can handle that stress. I mean, George has been the poster boy for a race team the last 3 or 4 years, and he can't get a contract. So it's leading me to believe that Ray's got a point when it comes to they may want Lando to win this, because if it's that cutthroat, what else are we not seeing from behind the scenes?
Yeah, wouldn't be the first time that a team wants that. Wouldn't be the first time. And again, we all know. We only know what we see. Right,
yep.
We don't know what's going on
behind.
Right, we're outside. We're not even flies on the wall.
You got to wait till next year for the Drive to Survive, and then you'll see some of the stuff.
You'll still see what they want you to see. you won't know. I'm still waiting to see when Lewis retires, if he does keep up with what he said, that he would write a book about what happened during the time with him and Nico in that year when they were battling, because that would be probably the only insight we'd get into it, unless we knew people that were there and could say, oh no, well, it was really this. We're still speculating. But
didn't the driver say a while back, one of the drivers, that the time they can relax is actually when they're racing the car?
Yeah.
But when they're out of the car, it's you have all these different forces acting against them that they have to manage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like Simon said, it's true, and it's a cutthroat. You're going into like a pool filled with sharks.
Wow. Okay.
That's the way I see it. You're going in there and you're trying to hold your own, and the only way you can really hold your own is you got to have a good team with you to try to fight for you, because they will take advantage of you if they can.
So with that being said, I know a lot of people debate whether Max's attitude when he first got into Formula One was the right attitude to have, and everyone thinks he's kind of a a-hole.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was in their shoes and I had to deal with that on a daily basis, I'd probably be an a-hole too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But they all are. You're right. Lewis was seen as an a-hole too when he came in, right? He there were times on the driver parades when they would ride around in that bus or that open van, he would be by himself. He wasn't even with the other drivers, right? Like he wasn't really talking to anyone. Whether that is
probably adapting to the situation, right?
Probably adapting, right?
What the heck did I get myself into, kind of thing.
I have to think he had to know, because he came up through the feeder series. But you have to be strong mental stock. Yeah, you have to be, because you're going to go up against it. Think about George right now, right? He's putting in the performance. He's been doing that. He's been outpacing his teammate. Kimmy is a rookie, but yeah, Kimmy's made some mistakes. George has been the guy. He's the team leader, right? And now you have your team principal. They still can't come up with a contract for you. And then you heard that they were trying to court Max Verstappen. How does that make you feel?
Yeah,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
Okay.
Right. No, I agree.
So I got a question for you.
Uh-huh.
All right. Toto don't ink the contract. Where does George go?
That's what he needs to be thinking now. And where can he go? Well, if Daddy Stroll would get rid of Lance, right? Maybe he could go there, right? But he'd have to be ready, because Fernando plays for keeps. Right? Okay. That's Mr. Political guy, and he's damn good on the track. So he doesn't have a lot of options, which is also partly the reason why Toto's probably knows he could stall him off.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go?
Lowball him.
Yeah. Where are you going to go? I don't think he's going to really get to lowball him that much, but that's where I think George would come to a point where it's either, do you stay and take it, or do you try to leave?
No,
can you leave?
You get to a point where you compromise, right? So let's say George is asking for 100 million. I'm just throwing some numbers out there. I have no idea. And Toto wants to give him 80. Maybe you take 85.
More like 50.
And you don't do a long-term contract. Maybe do 2 or 3 years and see what happens with other racing teams in 2 or 3 years. But you're not getting necessarily what you deserve, what you think you deserve,
right?
But you're holding out because you don't really have any leverage. Like you said, there's 3 competing teams right now: Ferrari, McLaren, and Mercedes, and Red Bull. 4 actually, and all 7 of those seats are taken.
Yep. And you know what though? It could also be maybe George, I would think, would want a long-term contract. Maybe Toto's only offering him a year, because he's still trying to hold out to see what happened with Max.
Well, that too, and plus, again, the wild card is a new car. You don't know where the new car is going to land on the grid when it gets put out there, right? Because it could be a turd.
Right. So that's where we are with it. We don't know, but it doesn't look good for George. I could see it, but he's doing the right thing in that if he continue to put in drives like this, right? If he continues to do that, that's much better for him.
Yeah, the leverage changes.
Right.
Shifts anyway.
Or shifts. So saying that, we have to move into, Max outperforms Lando again. Right?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that 70% of the race, Max was complaining about his car not shifting down and shifting up properly, that the rear brakes locking up. Mm-hmm. And he was able to still coming second place and hold off Lando. And Lando had DRS for most of the time he was challenging Max. Mm-hmm. Wow, I was kind of blown away. I thought Lando was going to pass him easily, and he didn't even come close to passing.
Because you already know, you're gonna put your hand in the tiger cage, it's gonna get bitten. Right? Max is not gonna. You can't dive bomb him. You can't do his move on him. He'll make you pay for it. So, yeah. Max held him off with a crippled car. Right?
Well, I think we kind of missed out that going back to what I'm saying, that Zach is taking care of his boy. When they did the pit stop, whose car did they mess up on?
Oh yeah, Oscar's.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Right? Again, it takes me back to Rosberg and Lewis. They brought out the B team. They took out Oscar's team that was on top of it and brought out the wannabes and have them do it. And then boom, fumble.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. And it in the end, it didn't hurt him
luckily,
as much as it could have.
Luckily.
Yeah, right. As much as it could have. So I'm not going to jump on that, because here's the thing again, they want to win the constructors. So they're not going to try to fool around too much. Because my concern was, being that it was such a delayed stop and it was at the rear, I was like, I hope that wheel nut's on. You know, I hope that he doesn't go a few laps and all of a sudden you see the car start, you know, crabbing down the track because the rear wheel is not secure. That was my hope. So
right.
So Ralph,
yeah.
Ralph, did you not notice how Ray avoided the Max outperforms Lando?
I know.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed it.
He don't want to talk about it, I guess.
He did it like a politician. He sidestepped that boy and kept it moving.
Well, I tell you what.
What can I say?
Slippery.
Well, we saw it, right? We saw what happened, right? That he did it. I will say Max is a good driver, right? Because his team won at the Nürburgring, right? With him driving, so he's a good driver. It's just that I don't appreciate how he berates his team when things go wrong, right? And or you know that's kind of where I'm at with that. But anyway, that's a Max thing. But now it's hard to pass in a circuit like that because of the cars get caught up in the DRS train all the time. So if you push hard, right, then there's not enough downforce to help the tires from stick as well. So you get more degradation that way. So you burn up your tires behind it. You would need a sizable amount of power so that when you push, you're on him, boom, you go by him, right? And I think the cars are too close together as far as their performance for you to really exercise that, right? And that's the takeaway that I get, especially because there's no air that's going over to help with the downforce because the suspension is stiffer, right? Relatively speaking. And so you just, eat up the tires. You have nothing pushing anything down. So the car, you're going back to mechanical grip. You're carrying too much, you carry more speed than the mechanical grip can handle. You kind of eat up your tires, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And what the heck is going on with Ferrari?
Don't even stop, bro.
I don't know. You know what? Hopefully they're better next year. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
How do you lose your brakes on a technically sound vehicle like that? And no one else has in this whole entire year. And I know he was pushing. He was pushing,
right.
To try and catch up to Leclerc and Antonelli. This is the first I ever heard a car losing brakes to the point where he lost 3 positions because of it.
Yeah, they penalized him, right? At the end, he got a penalty for going off track.
Yeah, going off track, exceeding track.
Because the FI wanted him to take out a few cars, to help out, Drive to Survive. Lewis Hamilton crashes into cars without, brakes failure. So, yeah.
So that whole thing confused me a little bit because I thought you get penalized if you left the track or went over the track limits and you got an advantage. He didn't have an advantage. His track times weren't improving.
No.
So to me, it wasn't like he was doing it on purpose. He was doing it because he was trying to slow the car down and still yet finish the race.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And not take somebody out. But, it's the implementation of rules blindly. That's the way I put it at. Because he's trying to avoid hitting somebody. So he jumps off track. Yeah, he's trying to limp the car home. So he's, as you said, he's not gaining an advantage at all. So he's doing the most safe approach to the situation, other than parking the car. I guess they really wanted to just come park the car, and I think that would be better for them. So that's what they wanted.
I know I told you in the beginning of the season. Sorry, Ralph. I know I told you in the beginning of the season that success for Ferrari would be coming in second for the constructors.
Yep.
Mercedes is looking like they're going to run away with it now.
Yep. That's the thing. I don't know what's going on with Ferrari, and I'm curious if we ever find out what happened with the cooling, why that was, because I know that the teams historically will use different size cooling ducts on the cars depending on the tracks that they're going to run. So, for Singapore, I'm wondering if they didn't put the right ones on, and the brakes weren't being cooled enough. And therefore it couldn't go the distance of the race, and he lost it at the end. I'm just curious. I'm going to look out to see. I just would like to know.
Well, he went to softs at the end, right? So
yeah,
it put more force on. I think I agreed with one of the commentators that he was pushing. He went to soft. Soft put more friction into the surface, so the brakes had to work more to slow the car down, right? And yes, there's still a problem with the ducting and what was going on there. Why, because other cars weren't having this issue. But I think Charles said that I don't know if it's true, but he's been dealing with issues like that the whole season.
Okay.
Right. So, but if Lewis tried to make a real push and there was not enough, airflow over it to keep, to help dissipate the heat that was there. My take.
Right. So to sum this race up, I mean, we know George put in a great drive, but we have to say it now. McLaren clinched their second constructors in a row. And what the last time they did it, I had to look it up. I was surprised as well. The last time they won was in 1998 with Hakkinen and Coulthard. The constructors.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
They said it was 27, 26 years since they've won. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah. So even when Lewis won, Ferrari won it.
Yeah.
Year. Ferrari won it like that. So even with that, 98. But hey, hats off to them, man. I mean, McLaren was where Williams is fighting to get back out of, right? And Sauber, which if correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Sauber is going to be Audi next year. I believe it's Sauber. I believe. Yeah. Correct me. I know somebody will correct me and say whatever. But of the legacy teams, the historical teams, I mean, McLaren is one of them. Ferrari, McLaren, Williams, they have fought their way back to become constructors champions 2 years in a row. Hats off to them for that. Hats off to them. Simon?
Yeah. No, hats off. I think they did a great job this year. They really blew everybody out of the water. I think they're like 290 points away from everybody else. So been great racing. I'm excited to see how this whole entire season is going to end with McLaren and Lando and Piastri going at it. And I hope they take the gloves off and go at it.
Yeah.
But Max is still there. But yeah, congratulations to McLaren on clinching their second constructors in a row.
Right?
Well, McLaren got the construction, whatever. What you call it there? I think Oscar needs to look back and say, you know what? Thanks, George. Right? Because the amount of points that potentially could have eaten into his lead, and he hasn't really said, well, thanks, Max. It's kind of on the fence, right? Because, they helped him so that Lando didn't get a big chunk, right? Lando didn't get a big chunk out of the lead. So he's still in the lead with a sizable amount. So
18 points. That's one race, though.
That's all right, but it could have been a lot worse. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. So he just needs to walk away and say, okay, I got this. Lesson learned. Thanks, George. And funny as it is, thanks, Max, right, to go at it. But Max is in it to take the championship this year, right? Max sees the light, and I think he's going. I know he's going for it, even though he said, he said he would be more comfortable if he won this one, but still, he's going at it. So it's a three-way fight right now. It's not Piastri and Lando anymore. It's Piastri, Lando, and Max. In my opinion.
Yeah, well, Max has never given up. I mean, he's a world champion, right? And he to quote Ayrton Senna, I race to win. I'm not designed to come in second, third, fourth, or fifth. I race to win. That's the mentality he has, and that's he's going to go for it. So it's I think it's Oscar's to lose, provided that the team backs him the way they need to back him.
No DNFs. He can't have any DNFs.
He can't have any DNFs. He can't have any DNFs.
And that's what's hurt Ferrari, right? Because they've had both of them in the same race of DNF'd.
Yeah. And that's what's hurt them. So moving in to rookie performance this race. I'm gonna throw it out to you. Ray, take it away.
Man, I feel for man Isaac. Ajar?
Yeah.
They gave him a bum car. My man, muscled up and he was in the top 10, ready to rock and roll. And all of a sudden, the engineer comes over the radio. Oh, we got a problem with the engine. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with him showing his frustration.
Right.
Saying what's up with it. But he still fought. You know what I'm saying? He did not quit. He still put in his best effort in order to bring the car up to the highest level that he could. But I felt for him. Yeah. I think he's one of the big shining rookies out there. It's him. Behrman is out there. I think he's one of them also. And Kimi, I'll say that. But, I kind of take it away because Kimi is with a team that has a car that's somewhat competitive at certain times. But he stepped up to it. I give Kimi that he's got a competitive car and he's not languishing too far behind the primary driver, George. So I'll give it to him. The other guys, I have nothing to say, but
Simon.
No, Ray's right. Hadjar to me has been outperforming even Kimi. Like you said, Kimi has a great car, has a great program, great team. Red Bull is good too, but of course they got the C team, Red Bull, and Hadjar is performing, in my estimation, better than Kimi at this point. So he's more consistent. And even in qualifying, he was just putting in times that were just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Where is he going to end up in Q3? Right. So I think he's probably one to watch for when a team is looking for a driver. He's going to be one that people are probably going to go after.
Yeah. Yeah. Isaac has shown he's good. He's definitely deserves a shot in a better car. He's done well in the Racing Bull. So I don't know. In listening to you guys now, it makes me wonder, like, what would he have done if he were in the Mercedes? If he was in Kimi Antonelli's Mercedes? Because based on the way he's driven, he seems to have driven more maturely than Kimi, this season. Well, nothing against Kimi. Kimi's fast, and he's learning, But it seems that, to me anyway, that Isaac seems to have gathered himself up pretty good. That if you put him in something that's capable, he'll be up there, harrowing those guys at the front.
Well, you just said a loaded statement there, right? Yeah. Capable has many definitions, because the one they're talking about is the doomsday car. They want to go throw that, right? And end his career like it's ended all the other guys' career. So he needs to find, something else. Maybe Toto's holding out for Isaac.
Red Bull's not going to give him up.
Red Bull's going to have two rookies. That's dangerous.
You're building a team.
No, they're established.
We'll see how next year's car and next year's, the chassis of next year's car. I would gamble if I was Hadjar, I'd gamble saying, hey, it's a new car. If I can get in there early, I can have some influence on how I like to drive. Max is probably still going to get his way, but it's a new chassis, and if he's there from the very beginning, he can fight.
It's not Max is still gonna. Max is going to get his way because he's a world champion in his team. And he's gonna say, hey, I need the car to do this. I mean, I find it interesting when Max says, oh, the car is undrivable. And part of me is like, yeah, but that's your car. What do you mean you can't drive? But, I know why. I know what he means. I'm just being funny about it. But, whoever goes with Max, you're driving Max's car. Whoever goes into Lewis is driving Charles and Carlos's car, kind of thing. So that's just the way it's going to be. But I think Isaac, I don't see it as career ending anymore. I don't even talk about it that way, because from what I see of the second Red Bull car, the car is a difficult car to drive if you are not Max Verstappen, right? So I don't hold anything against Yuki, because Yuki was strong in the Racing Bull's car when he was there. Right? He was strong, and then he fell off when he went to Red Bull. And we've gone through that in other episodes where it's the mill that turns it out. So I don't blame them. So if Isaac, hey, he's a rookie, he did a year at Racing Bull. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. He's named. They don't want Kimi. I mean, Yuki. They don't want Yuki.
Yuki is quiet this year, though. He's not.
Yeah, he's on the way
on
out.
the radio yelling and cursing like he was last year.
Not that we hear anyway, but he's on the way out, so he's not. He got nothing to say.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I don't think he'll be there.
Yeah, I think they're gonna.
I think
they're
Isaac's
put
going to
him
be
out.
in that car next year. You know,
Mm.
Yuki's out. They never wanted him. Even from one Christian Horner, like I told you, one of the interviews where the interviewer specifically asked him, "Oh, Yuki, you know, with the support," and he came out. He goes, "Yeah, well, you know, we." Oh no, she said that you guys never really came out and gave him a test, and he goes, "Yeah, well, you know, Liam and Liam and he just started in with Liam," and I'm listening to. I'm like, "Whoa, okay." She asked about Yuki, and you talk about Liam, and I was like, wondering if she's going to put the question back to him to see where, and she didn't, you know, but I was like, he's not interested. So Yuki's out.
Yeah.
He's gone.
The car,
So-
the ending career car.
Yeah. Well, you know, he'll go on to other categories and he should be, he could be okay. He could be okay. So moving into predictions for Coda. Simon.
Yeah. This is a difficult one because Max is driving unbelievable right now. Man, I think Lando is going to win the next race.
Oh yeah. And who's second? Oscar?
I hope so. But it might be Max. But I'm hoping it's Piastri. I think it's Lando, Max, and Piastri.
Okay, so you said Lando, Max, and Piastri. Okay.
Yeah, and you know the wild cards is Mercedes right now. Was this a fluke weekend, or are they going to be as strong? Because you know George is motivated. George right now is motivated because he needs a contract. So he can't. It's hard to count out somebody who has extra motivation.
Yeah, true that. Ray, what do you say?
I'm saying Piastri, Max, Lando.
Okay.
So you just switched it, huh? You just switched it. Max is in the middle.
Yeah.
Like Moni. All right.
Yeah, you know what? Coda fast circuit should suit the McLarens. I think it's gonna be Oscar, Lando, and Max.
Oh, I need to make a change.
This is the second time he's done that.
So the wild card there is George. If this is not a fluke for what's with the Mercedes car, and you know, then Mercedes is going to be in there, and so either one of the McLaren guys or Max is going to be off the podium.
So how do we record that? Yeah. One of the McLaren guys, and then you know, you don't get odds like that at a casino or anywhere. So all
right, so it's going to be Oscar.
Yeah.
Right, and then we're going to have. I think it's going to be Max, George.
Okay. Oh, no Lando. Okay.
That would be interesting. I mean, you know, if Max wins another race or even two,
it's on.
Yeah.
It's gotten closer. It's gotten closer.
Yeah. Is that 40%, 40 points behind, 40 something?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You know, Max is not going to give up. And like I said in one of our last episodes, you can't give him any indication that there's a chance. He's going for it. Crippled car or not, he is going for it. And he'll probably spank you in a crippled car, you know? So you underestimate him at your peril.
He's 41 points behind second place. So there's still some gap there that he has to make up.
Right.
I know he's going to be on it, you know, and plus, you know, what's his name? Piastri has a measure of Max, right? So Max knows that he can't come and muscle Piastri like he can muscle Lando.
Right.
So if in first corner going in, Piastri's in front, Max is going to have to check up and decide either we're going to end it here or I'm going to have to come back and fight during the race.
Well, go ahead, Simon.
You know, it's going to be interesting because we all know there's going to be tension between Oscar and Lando. I'm wondering how the masses are going to handle that. Are they going to be on Piastri's side, or are they going to be on Lando's side, or is it going to be a split? Because there has to be some rivalry tension that's going to happen in these last 5 races. and I'm not saying it's going to be comparable to Lewis and Rosberg, but Nico, but it's going to be close.
Right. Well, I think it's going to be like everything else we see out there. There's going to be a camp on the left, camp on the right. And then both
but what side is Zach on? Go ahead, Ray.
Ooh, no, Zach's on the side of money, and he's
already got the money. He wants his boy to win now to cover it off.
No. Well, true, right? He's on the side of money. Yes, they got the constructors, but now if they get the constructors and the drivers' title as well, that's more money.
Yeah, but that's not what Simon's saying. It's saying his boy Lando is the one who wants to get the title.
No, I know that.
No, I didn't say that. That was you.
We're speculating. We may, because we know English driver and an English team, yada yada yada, and all of that. But we'll see. But having said that, everyone, thank you for joining us. We'll be coming to you again in 2 weeks when the next race is at COTA, Circuit of the Americas. Again, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And you can also follow us on your podcast platform of choice. See you next week, in 2 weeks.
Later, bruv.